First, let me just say that if I wasn't doing the whole YouTube tech thing, tech tuber, or whatever we call this, if this channel wasn't what it is now, there wouldn't have been a need for me to update my iPhone as frequently as I do. Because the truth be told, and it's prevalent in my other tech products, you don't see me updating all the other stuff annually. Well, if you've been around for a while, not just on this channel, but previous things in the past, then you know that. If you're new here, I don't update everything all the time. But there happens to be a phenomenon that I notice, at least for my own use case, that every so often there happens to be a super cycle tech refresh that comes out for me where I find it justified and relevant for an upgrade. Now, all this is obviously subjective to your use case, but for my use case as a power user of a camera and an iPhone, and as somebody who's embedded in the Apple ecosystem with all things Mac, iPad, iPhone, and iOS accessories, for me, I find that there is every so often a moment where all the tech makes sense to refresh. What I mean specifically is the last time I experienced this phenomenon that I'm going through in my own use case, not as a reviewer, not as a tech anything, but just as Randy, I noticed I had this experience back in 2021. And that's where this story really takes off with. The last time I updated everything and I stayed with it, for the most part, remnants of that is still in existence today. I updated my iPhone to the 13 Pro because I loved what was happening with the cinematic mode. I updated my Apple Watch to the Series 7, which I just now upgraded again for the first time. I updated my Mac to an M1 Pro MacBook Pro, which I am using to this very moment. And we got, for my household, under my family, we got an iPad mini. And that setup has been what's been driving our tech lives at home base forward. This is the first time, and the year's not over, so we'll see what happens in October. This is the first time I'm experiencing the update again. Now, for the first time, I feel it is extremely important. If I was not reviewing anything, if I wasn't creating anything, if I was just me, and I don't know what that looks like if I wasn't a creator, to be honest. But if it was just me, I still would have gotten this phone. Most likely this exact phone too. Because this is the first time since the iPhone 13 Pro I have found something of extreme value for me, which has to do with the 48 megapixel telephoto. That, to me, I am finding so much value in everything that I'm doing, where I'm at in my life right now. Now, is that the case for you? Probably not. I would still recommend for most people that they would get the base model iPhone 17. But man, this thing is amazing. This feels as professional as possible. The same sensation I got when I got the iPhone 13 Pro initially, where I was like, this feels more like a camera, less like a phone. I'm having that phenomenon again here, except lessons are learned. Now this thing isn't bulky, heavy, stainless steel, and just too wide. Now I got a regular small size Pro, and this thing is extremely light, and it's aluminum, so it's my favorite metal to use. But outside of that, I went from the Series 7 to an Ultra 3. I did try the Ultra 1 when it first came out in 2022, and I loved it, and I regretted not getting it then. But for what it is, I'm glad I waited because it feels more, I don't know, meaningful, more impactful for me if I was able to update my whole lineup in the same year. I'm aware this is the same chip that's been in the watch now for a while. I don't care about that. I am loving the biggest screen possible. I am loving the biggest battery possible, effectively on both devices. Now, with the AirPods Pro, I did have the original one that came out in 2019, 2020. Whenever the first AirPods Pro came out, I've had that. And I still have that somewhere. It's in the house somewhere, but I don't use it. This is the AirPods Pro 2 with Lightning. So Don't let the thumbnail fool you. This isn't the AirPods Pro 3, but I will be getting the AirPods Pro 3. And on that note, really quickly, an employee at the Apple store yesterday told me I would wait because these things do go on sale very, very quickly. They always do when they come out with stuff, especially for the holiday season. So even employees were like, if you can wait, I would wait because these things will be at a discount. And I don't pay full price for anything. So even when it comes to a Super Cycle Tech refresh that I'm experiencing right now, I didn't pay full price for none of this. It won't be for the AirPods Pro 3. I didn't pay it for my phone. I didn't pay it for the watch. I didn't pay for my iPad. I didn't pay it for my MacBook. I didn't pay it for my studio display. I don't do it for anything because I'm still frugal where it needs to be. I try to save money where possible. And even if it's just 20 bucks here, 50 bucks there, it all collectively adds up to a couple $100s every time when I do these refreshes. So let that be the biggest lesson for you. If you are going to upgrade, see where you can save money. I'm not going to shame anybody for getting the latest and greatest instead of something used. That would make me a hypocrite this year. But I will say, be smart with your thinking. Always be smart with, do you need it? Yes. Can you save money with it somehow? Chances are yes. Get it. Okay, that tangent aside. Upgrading in 2025 feels like the new super cycle for me, where if I wasn't doing this channel, this content, if I wasn't making all this stuff, I would have most likely held on to everything from 2021, which would give me a 4-year turn period, give or take, most likely. For sure with the AirPods, because I still have these. These are 2022, I think, or were they 2021? I don't remember when the AirPods Pro 2 came out. Lightning, specifically Lightning. So whenever these came out, that's it. So somebody let me know in the comments. The iPad, funny enough, seems to be the only outliner here where I didn't, this is outside of its cycle, because this is an M4 Pro, iPad Pro. So, excuse me, there is no Pro M4 yet with the iPad. This is an iPad Pro M4, and I got this where I felt like it was the most relevant for me. I am an iPad user. I don't say I'm an iPad first user, but this is my main computer. I use this for everything that's not this or music, wherever my gear is at. So I use everything on the iPad. This one is a little bit different. I don't know if we're going to get an iPad this year that's going to be like an M5. I would think so, but that's where it's interesting, right? Because now we still have October to come, and in October we'll get MacBook updates, home accessory, AirTags, I hear HomePods, all that's going to get updated. And there's a good chance maybe the iPad's also going to get a refresh of some capacity, but they normally do it at the beginning of the year. But all the same, I don't feel like those things need to be updated annually either. And my last iPad before this one was the 2018 iPad Pro. So I went from 2018 to 2025, right? So that was 7 years. And then I finally pulled the trigger and got this thing. So that, to my point, I don't upgrade frequently. The iPhone feels to be the exception here. Now, to my own defense, if I may, the only time I think I would have broken that cycle was on the iPhone 15. I was excited about USB-C, and I thought I wanted the iPhone Pro for the 15, one of the 15 Pros. But I ended up getting the base 15 because my ethos for so long was that the base iPhones were good enough. Regardless if it was 60 hertz, always on display, or any of that stuff, those A chips, for what they were good enough. An A17 chip, it was more than passable for most things. That's why they put those things in iPads, and they're getting the job done. And I went from the 15 to the base 16, and I almost got the 16 Pro again. That was the one where I was like, yeah, but no. I went to the 16 because Apple made me believe that Apple Intelligence was important enough. Apple made me believe that I needed to have Apple Intelligence. There was nothing intelligent about Apple Intelligence. Hindsight is always 20/20. Had I known that was going to be the playout, I would have never got the 16. I would have stayed with the 15. So in that sense, even when I'm reviewing things, and I did review the 15 and 16 Pro, when I am reviewing things, that doesn't mean I was going to hold on to it. So I might have stuck with the base 15. I was happy to have that phone. But the last real phone I ever loved was the 13 mini. I had that. I love that phone so much. I used it for 2 years. I skipped the 14 altogether, and the 13 mini was my daily driver. I had a 13 Pro as a camera that I would use for my podcasting and content creation, but my driver for actually out and about, where my SIM card was actually in, was in the 13 mini. And before that was the 12 mini. I feel like I'm at the point, I've proven my point to myself that I can make the case to anybody else that base model phones were and are good enough, that this was the time where if there was ever going to be a super cycle tech refresh, I didn't want to do a base model this time. I wanted to do a Pro phone. And now for the first time in my lineup ever, everything that I have is some variant of a Pro. A Pro iPhone for the 17 Pro, telephoto is what I cared most about. Battery, I obviously will appreciate. An iPad Pro with the M4 Pro. I have a MacBook Pro with the M1 Pro chip. And I have a Ultra 3, an Apple Watch Ultra 3. It's not a Pro, but let's just say it is going to be a Pro. An AirPods Pro. Everything that I have, minus my studio display, is a Pro. And that felt appropriate this time around for this super cycle. We know, or if you follow the news as I do, you may know as well, that we are expecting bigger refreshes to come in the iPhone department in the next couple years, from a foldable phone to a bezel-less phone, which might be the 20th anniversary phone. There's all these different calibers of phones that are going to be coming out every single year, and you can always make the case, I can wait. But the future isn't promised. We don't know for sure any of that stuff would come. It might get Project Tightened and delayed indefinitely. Who knows? Realistically, it's probably going to happen, but that's not my point. My point is you buy and you upgrade for the stuff that you have promised to you today, not the future promise of tomorrow. And I know if I was to wait another year to get a foldable phone, that'd be fun to try out and see how that evolved from the iPhone Air. I know that it'd be really awesome to have a bezel-less phone because that's going to be the new shiny toy, the new premium status symbol iPhone. But that doesn't really matter when it comes to the day-to-day. Novelties do wear off. I can't say for me, like the iOS 26 novelty hasn't worn off for me. Like when I'm doing this to my wallpaper all the time, I'm having the time of my life. I can't say having a bigger screen, that novelty wears off because that's utility. But when it comes to how thin a phone is, when it comes to how elegant or how distracting or how something, like eventually all that stuff does wear off and you just get used to it. For me, kind of like promotion. Do I see it? Yes. Do I know what it's doing? Yes. Do I care? No. It is what it is. But for where we're at now, sometimes, just sometimes, the universe aligns. The stars align all together and we see something that says, yes, this is the time to, in this case, do upgrades. And this is the first time since 2021 I am doing a super cycle tech refresh on all my things. Now, we don't know what's going to happen in October, but if they wow me enough with a new MacBook Pro, I might do that. I know there are rumored, and that right there, rumored, of the new MacBook design will come in 2026. I don't care. I don't care. I don't use my MacBook like that. It's always closed and clammed shaped anyway. I hardly ever open it. I don't take it with me when I'm on the go. I take the iPad with me when I'm on the go. I don't work when I travel. That's my use case. My studio, my home base is here. If anything, I might consider getting either a Mac Studio or a Mac Mini next time. We'll see. But I don't care about designs. I care about performance and utility, which is why I got this over an iPhone Air. Performance and utility over design, which is why I got the heaviest, bulkiest watch. Performance and utility over design. AirPods Pro, notoriously for me, have never been comfortable, but I keep getting them because utility and performance over design. The one without the suction in the tips, they always fit better in my ear, but they're worse. And I, as a music producer, a singer-songwriter, and as someone who's an audiophile, I don't like the sound quality that comes out of just regular bass AirPods. But that's me. Most people probably wouldn't care. But I care about performance and utility over design. So if something comes through with the MacBook next month, or I should say effectively this month, because we're basically in October now, if something was to come through and it's wowed me enough because of the utility and the performance of it, then I might do that. And then I really am doing a full ecosystem refresh this year, and it feels appropriate. So the moral of the story for you guys is don't look a gift horse in the mouth. If you find that sometimes you should just go for it, go for it. Just be smart about the decisions. I save up for all this stuff. I don't go into debt. I don't ever put anything on credit. I don't do monthly payments. I hate being in debt. That's a whole nother story because I used to be like that. I am smart with my purchases. And like I said earlier, I don't pay full price for any of this stuff. So this has been an interesting personal experience for me in the Apple ecosystem this year, because this is the year where I really feel like Apple just knocked it out of the ballpark here for everything that I'm looking for, everything that I need. There will always be exceptions for everybody else where they might save some money, get an older design, stick with it. If you are on a 16 Pro or even maybe a 15 Pro, I couldn't say this is probably the update for you. You probably shouldn't upgrade. I don't know. But if I was talking to me as a viewer, as a consumer of the product and not just somebody who reports on the space, that Randy, most likely, for me, I would pretty sure he would still have that 13 mini. I would tell him, this is okay. You should get this phone. That Randy would probably might have his 2018 iPad Pro, and I would say, it's okay, get this one, and we will see with the MacBook Pro if that's the case too. But the moral of the story, like I'm saying, is when you know it's for you, you know. I'm not going to give you a confirmation bias. I'm not going to validate what you're feeling. I am going to give you my perspective from my space, and if you resonate with it and you connect with it, great. And if you don't, that's fine too, because all this consumer tech is personal to you. And for me, this has been the year for upgrades.